Right, slightly different to an unboxing video. This is me building my new PC, which I am currently recording this voiceover on, watching back the video. This is me opening up the box, as you can see, just taking everything out. For those of you that are interested, the case is a Sharkoon VG4W ATX. That's very specific, but that's what it says on the side of the box, so you can see. But it was just the one that we could afford on the budget. The budget for this PC was £600. I wanted something I could play my new games on. I just bought Wolfenstein New Order, which you may have seen me playing on my YouTube channel already, and a few other games like that which would not cope on my old PC, so I just had to upgrade. I put this together on PC Part Picker. I highly recommend the site, just so you can piece everything together and work out what's going to work together, see what the kind of the budget will come up to using that site. Many thanks to my friend John Wheeler, who also helped me with the build. So you don't see him in this video. This is just the early part of me putting it together. And yeah, later on we did tests on the computer to make sure everything was working. It's great fun plugging it into my television and seeing the BIOS come up for the first time. But yeah, so this is just me. The very first start of the build, you can see what we're doing is actually putting in the power pack. So I'm just going to open the case now. And it's very simple. It's just 4 screws. It unscrews, the panel comes off. It's got a nice big plastic window on the side, which is a very modern feature. None of my cases prior to this and on my previous PCs have had this feature. You can actually watch the computer running as it goes through the inside. You see I've got a little baggie there of instruction manual and screws and bits like that. The case itself comes with 2 fans. The fans also have lights on them, so they light up green. I could have got a red case, so I could have had everything light up red on the inside, but I decided to go with a kind of retro hacker look, the black and green, very much 1999 Matrix style PC. Also on the table there you can see the other pieces that I'm going to fit into here. So I'm going to say we're just fitting the power supply at the moment, which is a Corsair VS550, and consider this to be again the best thing we could get on the budget. I think in future, because this is when it comes with all these cables hanging out of it. You see, this is a very old school way of doing things. You screw it in and then plug all the different cables in. Apparently you can get more modular units now, something you can get where it's just a little bit easier to fit, but instead of having to sort of drag cables around inside a PC case, which is what we did in this case. But for the budget we're on, this is what I could get. I think if I was going to do this again, if I was going to make my own computer again, I probably would go for something a bit more modular, a bit more easy to fit, because that option is out there. And it does make it a lot neater and tidier and easier to make. But overall it wasn't that bad to fit all this stuff. It was trying to make sure we had enough power for enough things that are going in it. So we were going to be powering the solid state drive, which is running my operating system, which is Windows 10. We also needed to get power to a CD-ROM drive, which I'm fitting, just pulling out of my old computer and putting into the new one. You won't see me doing that in this video. I also put in my old 1TB hard disk drive, which has just got all of my saved games and files I need to save, and video edits and that sort of thing goes onto the hard disk drive, so I'm using that as extra storage space, and it keeps things running very quickly. I mean, the PC turns on and works first time, which I've never had before. My previous PCs would have a little bit of load up time, but this is just almost instantaneous. It turns on, you see a little bit of BIOS, and then straight into Windows 10 it's just working, and that is because it's running on the solid state drive, which is just amazingly quick. The solid state drive, which you will see me fit later on, is a 120GB Trion 100 OCZ. Again, I know these names are very specific, but this is just literally the name that's in the box. Again, it was picked because it was what we could fit into the budget. I think if I had a bit more money, I may have gone for a slightly more memory space on it. 120GB isn't a lot of space these days. It used to be. But yeah, so it was enough for what we needed, and like I said, I'm pretty much just got the operating system on there and a couple of programs. Everything else goes onto the hard disk drive. Also got external hard disk drives that I save stuff to, so I'm not relying on that 120 gigs to be everything that the computer has. At the moment you can see I am attached to the computer. I've got a static cuff on, which is to stop any static shocks ruining my equipment as I screw it in. I'm just taking the screws out of the back to actually fit the power pack in there. Okay, so the next thing here, this is our motherboard. As you can see, we've got a nice little back panel which will go into the back of the case. You literally have to take off a piece of the case to actually fit that. I think on more expensive cases, you probably it's a little bit more modular. You just unplug it and plug stuff back in. But in this case, we're going to be peeling it off and sticking it in. Again, not everything is shown in the video. I just tried to get this a general gist of the idea of what it was like to build this computer, because some of the more technical stuff I didn't want to film because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was referring to YouTube videos, and I also, like I say, my friend John, who has built his own PCs before. But yeah, this is the packaging that it comes in. So you can see it's got this big static bag. It's to keep it all safe. It's also padded in with polystyrene, and then inside the cardboard box, and then that in turn was inside another box with plastic wrappings and stuff when it came in the post. So everything arrived absolutely fine. And so this is the main circuit board that is going to power the whole computer. We're going to stick the RAM in here. We're also going to put the CPU on this board as well. And the board actually just literally screws into the case, which I think I'm going to show in the video. We'll just see how much I've edited this down to. But yeah, so that's it. Board out and ready to go. Again, you can still see the static cuff there, that cable coming out from the PC, so I'm grounded and not giving static shocks to any of my equipment. Now we're just going to unbox our little Intel CPU. So this is an iCore i3. Again, it was due to budget that we went with the dual-core i3. I could have gone bigger with more money, but yeah, it was going to do what we wanted it to do. We did have several different versions of this build put together on PC Part Picker, and this is the one we went with in the end, because we didn't want to get a bottleneck of graphics versus power and stuff like that. So this is what worked for us. But again, this is something that can be changed out later on, so it's all interchangeable. Like this is, as my friend John described, it's like building Lego. Like everything fits one particular way, but you can interchange the parts and upgrade and change things. And once you've done it once, doing it a second time will become easier. So this is a great learning experience for me. It was just how to do this. Big warning for you guys about this: some of these CPUs don't come like this one. This one has the heat sink already attached, easily attachable. That's what that is there. The little fan is the heat sink, so take all the heat away from the CPU, so that when it heats up, when it's doing stuff, it's not gonna overheat or kill us. So some of them you'll come with a separate one that you'll actually have to glue on. You have to use this heat glue to make sure that you're gluing your heatsink on top of your CPU. This one was actually already attached, so I didn't have to do that. This is one of the scariest bits of actually building the PC, because this is one of the most expensive parts we're fitting right now, and you can see they've got a little trap there that it goes into. It literally only fits in one way, but when you are fitting it, you will hear this wonderful snapping sound. There you go, that's the CPU. Being very careful and delicate on there. So fitting it inside, you then pull down this clamp on it like a mousetrap type clamp. And you can see it take a little moment to actually do this properly, because it makes this horrible, horrible noise of clamping it down and creaking and a snap as it goes in. So it sounds like you're breaking it. You're really not. It is quite tough, but it's that really scary moment of like, this is the most expensive part, and I am now going to snap it down with a clamp. This is me fitting the heatsink on top. So that plugs in. You can see we've got a little plug that comes off that. So again, that's going to be powered by our power supply, which will go into the motherboard. The motherboard gets power from the power supply, and you can then plug individual plugs into the motherboard just to actually run the power to the right pieces. Again, these pretty much fit only one way, and everything is labelled. There are little tiny labels on the motherboard itself telling you what plugs in where. So a lot of abbreviations, but you will see CPU units that all plugged in is where it's supposed to go. Again, there are some great tutorials out there on how to actually build a PC. This isn't really one of those. This is just to show you what I did, and to give you kind of an insight into how I'm now making videos and playing games. Yeah, so that's it. That's all plugged in, and our next stage is actually screw the motherboard into the case. Oh no, before that, we're going to put the RAM in as well. It's best to do this, I think, when we're outside of the case. So yeah, so I did forget I did this. Okay, so yeah, we had to put the RAM in as well. This motherboard itself has 4 slots for RAM, and they have to be fit not side by side, but with a gap between them, so they work in tandem. And we did have an experiment as to whether or not I plugged them in the right way. When we first turned the computer on, we had to make sure they were actually working. We did get a few error messages when we first plugged the computer into the TV to see what was working, what wasn't. But yeah, no, I actually did put these in the correct way around the first time on my own, so with no assistance. You can see this is me plugging them in. Again, these have little snap locks. You can see me snapping in there, and it does make a nice audible clicking sound as it snaps in. And it, again, like I said before with the Lego analogy, it does just fit in one way. You can't put it in backwards, you can't break the pins unless you really tried to force it in the wrong way. It just plugs in one way around. Like I say, not exactly side by side, they have a gap between them, but there are 4 slots. So again, it's upgradable, so I can actually fit more RAM, or just take these out and put more in. And the RAM we have fitted there is, I think, can I remember now, 4 gigabytes of RAM. I'd have to refer back to my spec sheet to see. But yeah, so that's the RAM fitting in now, and this now the motherboard has now been screwed in to the case. I had to remove that fan to get it into the case, so I'm putting the fan back on again now. And again, it's all just screws in. It's just a quick job of screwdriver. You notice I've still got the static cuff on. I do not want to get any static shocks to any of my equipment. Just to on the side of caution, would it be safe? You can see my wonderful headgear. I had very bad hair this day, so I decided to just put my hat over that. And yeah, I'm just doing this in the living room because I have the biggest amount of space, the most amount of light, and room for my camera and tripod to sit behind me and watch what I was doing. But yeah, I'd recommend not doing this on the floor on like carpet, things like that, again because of static shocks. You don't want to get any dirt inside the case. And pro tip for anybody building their own computer and maintaining it, do actually clean the dust out of your computer. I know it's got fans, things like that to take this stuff out, but you have to clean those too. You have to make sure that it's actually taking the heat away, because it can overheat really easily. I've seen PCs die from overheating, so you do want to make sure that you are cleaning it on a regular basis. These fans will get gunked up a little bit with just dust. It draws right through the PC, so it's taking it away from your components and then getting gunked up in the fans. So again, just a little hoover around every now and again will help out with that. So just screwing the fan back on. It is a one-person job really. You can build this all on your own, as I did, with just a little bit of assistance from say YouTube videos on how to do this. Did find myself pausing my camera, running off to go and check YouTube just to make sure I was doing everything correctly. But also, like I said later on, I had a friend who has done this before come around, and we actually plugged it in together and turned it on for the first time together. Checked the error messages that we got from the motherboard. It did give us a couple of error messages when we first turned it on. Checking that the BIOS was giving us the correct information when we first turned it on. Interestingly, we were going to put Windows 7 on this machine, just because we had an actual legitimate free copy of Windows 7, which a friend of ours had acquired for us, paid a very small license fee for it, and we said, okay, we'll fit it with Windows 7. It did not like Windows 7. It would not install. We could not work out for the life of us why it wouldn't work properly. So instead what I did was download the free copy of Windows 10, put an ISO together on a CD and put that in via the CD-ROM drive and loaded it that way. We had previously thought that loading Windows 7 via a USB stick, which what we were trying to do, was what was not working. So we tried loading drivers for USB slots to work, things like that, but yeah, in the end it defeated us. We could not get Windows 7 to run on this thing. So I'm running the free version of Windows 10, which is also the reason a lot of my videos now will have the Activate Windows logo in the corner, because I have not paid for a license for Windows 10. It is just running on the free copy. So one of the features of Windows 10 when you pay for it apparently is to not have the words Activate Windows in the corner. That doesn't really bother me that much, to be honest. Okay, so now just blocking my shot entirely by leaning in front of my camera and screwing in the motherboard. You see, I've had to move all the power cables out there to get them out of the way for the screwing in. Okay, so now on to solid state drive. Again, very well packaged, arrived in the same box with the power pack and the other things, and it is just in a cardboard box, plastic wrapping, what do you call it, the vacuum plastic there. So just pull it out, and it's the most basic looking drive I've ever seen. It is just a small piece of metal with screw holes in the side. That's it, and it screws right into the actual case. Put some power to it and it just worked. And like I said, that's also a good feature of the new PC. You turn it on, and because the solid state drive is all from the operating system, it literally just starts straight away. There's almost no pause to it, just goes straight into it. It's an amazing difference it's made running a PC prior to this on a hard disk drive with my operating system on it to this. It's just amazing difference of how quickly it will run. I'd say very, very simple to fit. It is literally this piece of metal. It's got a plug for the power and a couple of holes for the screws to go into it, and you just screw it in. Okay, so now you see the finished product. I've also fitted at this point the graphics card, which I've skipped across the video. So there's the graphics card there. You see the motherboard there with the RAM, there's 2 red slots, and the solid state drive is plugged in here. And this is prior to me putting in my hard disk drive and my CD-ROM, which will go at the front of the box. At the back there you see this, the fan, the back of the motherboard, and the graphics card there. You can see I'm watching Big Bang Theory on Netflix in the background. Yeah, so there's the RAM. These are the 2 fans that are going to keep everything cool. My power supply at the bottom there, with a couple of extra power cables hanging off of it for the other drives that are going to go in. That's the solid state drive again. And that is the graphics card, all plugged in at this point. This is just prior to properly testing it, just to show you everything in its place. So at this point it's gotten dark, so I've got the camera light on, and yeah, just lit up. This is the machine actually turned on and running with the side off, so you can see what's going on inside. There's my 2 green fans, the green lights in the front, all the USB slots and the slots for the microphone and headphones, things like that. And then it'll plug straight into the power supply as well. And yeah, you see the running fan, the green light. And that's it, it's done.